If you truly want to be successful in life and in business, you have to embrace your dark side. And a lot of content creators are not going to tell you about this. They're going to give you the surface level tips and tricks, the funnels, the strategies, and that stuff works. Don't get me wrong. But unless you fully integrate the shadow self, you're going to self sabotage every single time you're trying to level up. So that's what I want to give you in this video, a way for you to integrate your shadow self into what you're currently doing right now and become successful. And if you're not familiar with this concept, I made some notes in here just so I don't miss anything. The shadow is basically a negative version or a perceived negative version of yourself, usually from the past, that you're ashamed of. So if trauma, if you went through trauma in your childhood or whatever, and you're embarrassed by that, or, if you're really ashamed by who you used to be, if you're not integrating that and using that pain as fuel into your business, into your current life right now, you're just gonna self-sabotage every single time you're trying to level up. And if there's a huge lesson that I learned in these past, let's say 24 months while running businesses, is that there's no running away from the pain that I went through. And unless I take that and I try to transform that into a good, positive fuel for what I'm doing in order for me to become even more successful and level up more, I'm just gonna slowly self-destruct. And a lot of people are not even self-aware when it comes to their shadow self, when it comes to the dark side, right? Like, you can go look around, all of these gurus, and especially in the online space, everybody shows the highlight, right? Everybody seems perfect, but there's no such thing, right? And I want to challenge you right now, because this is going to be like a super raw video. I want to challenge you right now, no matter what business, hopefully you're running a business if you're actually watching this, but no matter where you are right now in life, I want to challenge you to take a look at the stuff that you've been trying to get away from, at that pain. It could be like a breakup, heavy trauma, whatever you went through. I want to challenge you to do that. Take a look at the pain that you've been trying to run away from. Because it all starts with this integration of the shadow self and embracing the dark side. It all starts with acknowledging that version of yourself. Because you know what happens when we kind of put that away? It tends to creep back up when we least want it to. So let's say you're in a meeting about to close a huge deal. If you have some demons locked up, and if you haven't faced those demons, because this is what it's all about, right? Facing that dark side of you, facing the side of you that you're ashamed of. Let's say you're in a meeting like that, you're about to close a huge deal. That voice inside your head is going to creep in and it's going to tell you, oh dude, remember when you used to do that? I'm so ashamed, da da da. And you're gonna sabotage the deal in a way. And that's crazy. And it happened to me as well. It happened to me with sales calls. It happened to me with potential clients. Because deep down, I had some trauma and I had some unresolved issues that I hadn't integrated at that point. And those things just completely ruined whatever I was doing. So take a look at that. I want to challenge you to kind of be aware of that right now. What are some things that you've been running away from? Because this is the power of acknowledgement. Once you embrace that dark side of you, instead of running away from it, once you face your demons, once you face your pain, once you face your fear, that's not going to have power over you. So I'm talking to a lot of people, and especially my clients, and I tell them this. It doesn't matter how many strategies I give you. It doesn't matter how much money you're going to make. It doesn't matter how successful you're going to get on the inside or on the outside. If on the inside you're a mess, if on the inside you have unresolved things, if you haven't checked in with that dark side of you, and if you're just trying to put it away and pretend that you have no pain and pretend you're perfect, again, that's going to creep back in at the worst moment. And I want to challenge this right now. This idea that, the dark things that we went through, especially if you're watching this, if you're a man, like the aggression, the anger that comes, the frustration, the all of that. I want to challenge the idea that that stuff is not bad if you know how to use it, if you know how to transform it into fuel. So constantly throughout my channel, throughout like with my brands, with my consulting business, this idea of turning your pain into something good, using your pain as a platform, this is something that I'm constantly bringing up. And it's the same exact topic that I'm touching on right here. Because these traumas that we went through, and trauma, I know it's such a like general, like big word, but we are all going through stuff as human beings, and we all went through stuff, especially as kids, that kind of left us with like some marks. If we run away from that and lock all of that away, we're doing not only ourselves a disservice, but our clients and our like the people, our loved ones, we're doing those a disservice as well. Because you know what's going to happen? We're usually like putting on a mask. So if you have not fully integrated those really dark things in your life, and if you haven't mastered that dark side of you to use that again as fuel, you're going to put on this mask. And the craziest thing is that subconsciously we have this desire to self-sabotage whenever we feel like we're about to level up. And that's the shadow. That's the shadow literally like screaming for you to give it attention. So it all starts there. It starts with the power of acknowledgement, the power of like you giving your shadow attention. As in becoming aware of like, this is the stuff that I've been through. And instead of like running away from it, and I'm not saying like you gotta let it define you, but I'm saying you have to, in order for you to like truly get over it and master that dark side, you have to embrace it. You have to embrace it. So, it's so easy to just focus on external things, on tactics, especially in business, I gotta make more money, I gotta get more clients, and in relationships, I gotta, date more women, I gotta do this, do that. But like a lot of times we tend to cloak the dark stuff that we have within us. And I've seen so many people, and not even like, I'm not even gonna talk about others, I'm gonna talk about myself. I've made this mistake plenty of times to tend to like forget about the dark side, the stuff that I've really been through, and just not even forget, but I guess trying to ignore it and trying to act as if it's not there, trying to act as if it's not like an amazing source of fuel. So what I'm trying to get to is you have to really turn the negative stuff into something like super powerful that is going to give you the energy and the desire and the ability to truly win in life. So if you look at the most successful people, they usually have some dark stuff in there that they integrated. I remember, and this is like a crazy example, but this is like the one that comes to mind right now. If you've seen the 8 Mile movie with like Eminem, he used a lot of like his pain and a lot of like his background to kind of like build his success. And that's something that I talked about as well on my Instagram. It's like a lot of the times I'm looking at my business and I'm like, I think I actually built this out of pain. I didn't build this because life was amazing and I don't know, I was just like in the mood for building another business. I built this from some type of trauma. And I can talk about that trauma right now. In my life, I went through a lot of Like I went through a series of like losing people that were like super close to me. So that kind of like left a scar. And so I think in my mind, that led to me being like, you know what? I'm going to provide so much value online and I'm going to really help people so that I guess to a degree, I get my revenge, right? Now, I'm not saying this is the best motivation in the world, right? But this is kind of like what was a huge pillar of this. And when it comes to integrating your shadow self, again, you got to realize there's no running away from your past. There's no running away from like who you are. You don't have to be obsessed with what you went through. I'm not saying like you got to be trapped in all of that. But I'm saying there's a way for you to take what you've been through, convert it into something good, not only for yourself, but for your loved ones, for your potential clients, for your businesses, and just move on to the next level. So that's the thing that I want to challenge you with. Because again, this idea of like the aggressive side of me, the competitive side of me, that's something bad. Society tells us it's really bad to be competitive. It's really bad to care about money. It's really bad to want to be successful, to want to even like be successful out of spite sometimes, right? So you kind of like retrain as you grow up. You reprogram your mind to be like, you know what? I'm just gonna like stay in my own lane. I'm not trying to bother anyone. And I'm just gonna be this like the nice guy, the good guy, and I'm not trying to like use any dark stuff. And I'm just gonna stay on my path of a 9 to 5, and I'm just gonna follow that, right? Like a lot of people, that's what they do. And it's crazy to me because especially nowadays, having like a straight path, quote unquote straight path, right? With like a simple basic like 9 to 5, not trying to bother anyone, not trying to make a dent in whatever space you are in. That's the riskiest life you can ever have. And I'm gonna make a video about that as well. But what I'm talking to those savages right now, and you know who you are. So if you're watching this, if you truly want to be successful, if you want that life, if you want to like, whether it's out of spite or whatever, it doesn't even matter. If you truly want to be successful, stop running away from the dark things that happen to you and start looking at ways of like bringing that on, bringing the lessons from that, converting that into something good, and just leveling up like crazy, right? I could sit here and I have a lot of videos with strategies. You guys know them. I could give you all of the strategies. But until you remove that mask, fully integrate the shadow, until you embrace the things that you've been through and become present, you're constantly going to go through this self-sabotage cycle. And every time you're super close to getting a win in your life, you're going to mess it up. Every time, like whether that's a new relationship, whether that's like a new business opportunity, a new deal, a new client, there's something in your brain, the shadow, again, that you haven't given like the full attention, you haven't embraced, that's just going to scream for attention. Because you are trying to put on the mask and ignore that dark side of you. So that's kind of like the main idea. And there's another concept that I wanna touch on, and it's the snapshot concept, which is basically whatever vision you have for like your dream life, that's called the snapshot. And it's usually like material things, like whether that's a car, a brand new apartment, a lifestyle, whatever. That's, materialistic thing. So the snapshot, the idea with this is that you're constantly like chasing stuff. You're running away. That's the thing. You're operating from fear, because this is what it all comes down to. Embracing the shadow and embracing the dark side. It's all about acknowledging it, taking the power that it has over you, and you like having the power over it, and not operating from fear. So this idea of a snapshot is like you're operating from fear, you're trying to build whatever in your life, but it doesn't work. And if it does work, what's going to happen is you're going to get to that ideal vision that you have, that snapshot. You're going to achieve those material things. They're going to make you happy for 1 week or whatever. And then a new snapshot is going to be there, because deep down there's a huge emptiness that you are trying to fill with material stuff. And this happened to me, especially this year, with a lot of expectations, not only from myself, but from others as well. And what I realized is that I was stuck in this cycle of constantly chasing stuff without realizing, without like even being present and aware of and grateful for the things that I've already achieved. And that's what happens when we operate from fear, when we let the dark side control us, not the other way around. There's no way we can be grateful. There's no way you can be truly, truly present and grateful if you're constantly operating from fear. If you're letting those dark thoughts, those self-sabotage cycles control you. There's no way you can operate from confidence, from gratitude. There's no way. So what's going to happen is you're constantly going to chase the snapshot. And it's even called like the goalpost, right? Goalpost could be 5,000 a month, 10,000 a month, 20,000. You achieve that, then the goalpost moves, and you're constantly focused on the goalpost. You're not focused on, look, I've achieved this. I'm so grateful. Like, I've achieved this so far. And that is really, really dangerous, because you can get to a point where, and I got to admit this, I got to that point myself, especially this year, with like chasing a target. Okay, boom, we got the target. What's the next target? Without even like taking a moment to take all of the success that I already had in, and to kind of like be present and be aware of it. So again, stop. This is the challenge for this video. Stop running away from that dark side of you, from those things that happen to you. Take a look at like, okay, this happened to me. Okay, it's fine. Instead of me subconsciously letting this control me, how about I control it? How about I bring on this shadow self onto this journey, and I fully integrate it into my life, and I drop the mask and I embrace the pain that I went through? Because that's what it's about. Like, I'm going to make another video that is titled, Be Loyal to Your Future, Not Your Past. And that's what this is about. Again, going back to the beginning of the video, bring it on. Like, bring that dark version of you right here in the present moment. Sit with it. Acknowledge the stuff that you've been through. And it can be in business as well. It doesn't have to be like trauma in your personal life, like some crazy trauma. It can be in business. Acknowledge those failures. Acknowledge those lessons. And use them. When we're talking about content, use them for like, repurpose them as lessons. You can turn that into a YouTube video and yap about it as I'm doing it now. Like, because that's the thing, that there's no like such thing as like a perfect childhood or a perfect life or a perfect business. We're all going through shit. But you got to embrace it. And I know I'm repeating myself. Again, this is a full-on raw yap session, but this is super important when it comes to appreciating this journey, especially for any of you guys who are actually building a business, who are in it right now. This is super important for being able to truly appreciate the process. Super important. Using the aggression, using the trauma that you've been through, using that and turning that into gratitude, turning that into something good that allows you to build the business and the life of your dreams. That is essential. And that is like a superpower. Not a lot of people can do it. And a lot of people are scared to even like tap into that. Tap into the dark side. Tap into the things that they actually went through. And again, my thesis is like, your pain can either be your prison or your platform. I think that's a quote. I didn't come up with it, but I love it. Like, your pain can literally be your prison if you let it, or it can be your platform. It can be like, okay, I'm using this dark side. I'm using these things to create something out of it, to create something good. And again, going back to the Eminem example, not even that, like Michael Jordan, so many successful guys that took the trauma that they went through and they were like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna use this as an opportunity for me to finally level up, for me to finally achieve the dreams, the goals that I have, and the life that I desire. Stop acting like you know, this, like everything is perfect, and stop like putting on this mask, because all that you're doing is like you're lying to yourself. And on a subconscious level, again, you're letting it control you. So the minute it's like if you're in the gym, right? The minutes, have you ever noticed, like if you try to have like a super chill session in the gym, the workout was okay. But if you're, I don't know, listening to some aggressive music, if you're like, that gets you pumped up because you think like about, I don't know, like a deal that went bad, whatever. And again, you're transmuting that energy into something positive for that pump, for that workout. It's the same thing with this in life. It's the same thing. And so again, I want to end the video with this. Right now, as a practical exercise, make a list. Take your notepad and just make a list of some things that you've tried to run away from. And go super raw and go like super in depth with it. It can be like, you know, deep down, like I try to run away from the fact that my mom left me, whatever, or my ex broke up with me, or that deal went bad, or whatever, and I'm trying to run away. Make a list out of all of that. And again, as a practical exercise, make a list of the things that you're doing that are kind of like part of that mask, of that act, right? The things that you're doing because you think you should be doing, the things like the ways you're pretending. And this is all about you getting super close to that core, authentic version of yourself. And there's no way of doing that. There's no way you could do that without figuring out the dark side of it, the dark side of you. So make a list of, okay, I went through this, I've tried to run away from this, and now I'm acting in this way, which is truly like a mask of myself, which is just like an act, a facade. And you can see this in business. Like you can see even like a lot of like successful people, I'm not going to drop names, that because they have not integrated their dark side, because they, you know, what they're doing is they're just running away from themselves. And no amount of success, no amount of numbers, no amount of anything will fix that. This is what I want to end the video with. No amount of success will fix your pain, will fix your dark side. No amount. No amount. I'm the perfect example. I try to fill that, like, you know, hole with like success numbers. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. In the minute you use the negative stuff as fuel, that's the moment when everything takes off. So integrate that dark side, integrate your shadow self, and become successful. Become the version of yourself that you've constantly been thinking about. And stop operating from fear. Like, there's no limitation. That's what I learned as well. There is no limit. There is no failure. Like, you only got one life. You only got one life. So you got to ask yourself, what is stopping you? What is stopping you? Your shadow is stopping you. That version that you have not checked in with, that you have not acknowledged, that version of you from the past that you were ashamed of, that version of you is stopping you. But when you acknowledge it, when you embrace it, when you take control over it and you bring it on this journey, that's when the magic happens. So this was the video. Hopefully you found it useful. Stop running away from the pain and integrate it, use it as fuel, and become successful.